Well, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, no matter where you are in the world. Merry Christmas! It is December the 25th, 2022. Welcome back once again to JJ's PC Builds. I'm your host, JJ. We're going to get the B-roll starting. We're going to have a little Christmas special right here. You know who it is, and you know where it is, so let's get it started. And welcome back. Alright, we're going to get started today with... I told y'all I was going to get back to, let's say, the AMD RX 6500 XT. What I picked up at Best Buy. Not Amazon. I didn't pick it up at Amazon, which I should have. It would have been cheaper price, about $10 cheaper, but picking up at Best Buy saved me 2 to 3 days, so I was able to get the video out to y'all faster. And we're going to go through some testing together, real time, live, right here on the channel. So I'm going to take my time with this, and I want y'all to come along with me and see what happens. So stick around. We got more, and we're going to keep the ball rolling. So here we go. First test we're going to do the AMD Adrenalin 11 or 2211 2, if I remember right. Let me have a gander and see what this says. Yep, 2211 2. The reason why we're doing the 2211 2 is I'm a little bit disappointed. Let me pull this over so y'all can see it a little bit better. Let me make it smaller so you all can see it better. So I can drag and drop it to the screen. Yes, I do everything in real time because I want you all to see everything I see. So basically I want to make this as real as possible, like you're sitting right next to me watching the video. Okay, if you see right here it says 2211 2. That's the last drivers that can be installed on this card so far. Any other driver I've added to this card, it seems to misreport it in GPU Z. So for now, until I find a correct driver, these are not going to be the latest drivers. I can tell you 2212.1 and 2212.2 are for the RX 7900 XTX. And for some reason they seem to be they work off of my iGPU that's built onto the Ryzen 5 5600G. For some reason they seem to work on that too, but with the 6500 XT they do not. This is the latest driver that's up to date with this graphics card, so it is what it is. Alrighty, getting to the brass tacks. Let's go to performance. Let's go to tuning. Okay, I have the tuning set right here on Overclock GPU. Okay, you can set it on default. You can set it on undervolt, overclock, but don't touch the VRAM. Little bit of an issue with the VRAM. If I touch the over here to the custom, see this? There's a custom button. I can set a custom, set it up for custom. But when I go to play one game, it automatically flips it back to overclock GPU. It's the craziest thing I've ever saw. It goes from custom to overclock GPU. Just flips it back. It might be a bug in there or something like that. I don't know. But I know what it does. And if it happens again, I'll make sure I capture it and show y'all on YouTube. But you're going to have to take my word for it. So what we're going to do right now is we're going to take and start a stress test. And this is 60 seconds. So if that's 60 seconds, let's say we got 60 seconds. I'm just giving you an idea about the math. Sucks that you have to do it, they do it in seconds. So let's say you wanted to do it by 10 minutes. That's 600. Just to let you know, you can change this and put 600. Okay, start testing. And there you go. So it's a 10-minute test. And it'll count up to 600 seconds. Unless it counts by minutes. Who knows? I'm actually stressing this out, so everything's moving slow. Moving slow. But this is just to give you an idea. I'm going to stop the testing because it's like moving everything in slow motion. You probably saw everything that I was doing in slow motion. So, just to let you know, you can test it there. Test your GPU. You can. It's not going to be wise to test it running anything else. Especially if you're running OBS Studios. So, let's go back and see what else we can do. Alrighty, look at there, look at there. 83.95 and not fully boosted. Just running on turbo specs, and it shows you what processor, how much RAM, and it shows you the whole 900 yards. I had it set at medium, so not too bad. Not too bad at all. Not too bad. So we seen that, and now we get to switch it around, and hopefully we can switch it around. Let me make sure I can switch it around. Or maybe not. Maybe I'll just leave it just as it is. So this way I don't have to mess with it later. You never know. Let's hold that thought. I'm going to pull up something. If I can get this mouse to operate right, we'll be good. So what I'm going to do right now is I'm going to take and run 3D Mark. But we're going to go under the benchmarks. We're going to see what we can do. Oh. What we're going to do is we're going to run Night Raid. And see what we can do with Night Raid. Looks like the Hall of Fame top 5 is under 118,165. Phantom as the top lead in this one, Night Raid. So let's do some of our testing and see what comes about. Here we go. This might take a little while, trying to get used to this new thing going on. So for some reason it disables all the boost features in the Adrenaline program. So baddest scene right there. Baddest scene right there. I always loved that scene, for some reason. the beginning of it was awesome. And I'm still trying to figure out why this program takes and disconnects you from the AMD Adrenalin software. That shouldn't happen. They should be able to allow you to use any kind of boost, any kind of things you want to use to make your score a better score. See, then that's basically meaning that these benchmarks are only allowing you to what they want you to do. So, you know, any benchmarks that, you do, you only can do systematically by default only. So that's not really a benchmark. You know. To me, I just feel that's not a benchmark. When basically you have to use other programs other than the one designed for um, AMD's graphics cards cannot use boost on these benchmarks. That basically sucks. So basically, you're losing some of your oomph to when it comes to this. Yeah, even though that it's on an average between 300 and 400 FPS, which I'm very happy to see that it's making up to that point. All depends on how well the graphics card does. And it seems to be doing pretty well from what my recollection is. Now the processor, that's a different story. It's a smaller processor. It's the Ryzen 5 5600G. But think about it. This card seems to pair very well with the 5600G. Okay? Doing this test will show me how much of a bottleneck the processor is and if I need to upgrade or not. This will show me the stats of what I need to know. So that will make me happy if it's pretty much equal. And if it's pretty much equal, then these two are a pair. That's the whole idea of me doing this right now, is to make sure that these two are a pair. Let's see. Alrighty. Now, if you go into my benchmarks for 3D Mark back on the iGPU, it doesn't have a score like this. The GPU alone, the graphics score alone is 60,906. CPU score is 10,754. Wow. This right here, my score, the average, and the best. Oh well. Can't win them all, everybody. You cannot win them all. Let's do a little bit of digging and see what the details and what's going on here. Let's see. Frame rate per second. Wow, look at that. lowest, well, right here, almost 400. It dips down to, I'll be dipped in butter. Dips down to 210. This is FPS. Comes back up again. 496.43 FPS rate. Look at this. Okay. This is the top peak of the FPS. This is for the graphics card. It hit a max of 563.41 FPS. I'm showing y'all right on your screen. The temperature was at 63 degrees Celsius for the GPU, and the CPU was only at 59.13. Now, GPU load was 97.01%. See if I can do this without messing anything up. The frequency for the CPU was at 4,389.31 megahertz of CPU clock. Now, GPU clock was at 2,804 for the GPU clock to hit that 500. And you know, the CPU only hit 4389.31. That wasn't the full peak of the CPU. So it didn't hit the full threshold. That is interesting. It didn't hit the full threshold of the CPU because max pushed on this CPU is 4.6 gigahertz. I've already hit this CPU up to 4.625 total gigahertz. So that wasn't the max. And the GPU, that wasn't the max either, because I hit the max on the GPU. The GPU was 2966.31. Well, not, was it 31? 37, my bad, megahertz. So that wasn't the full peak of the GPU either, because this says it's 2,804.00. So both of them didn't hit their max peak to hit that 563.41 FPS frame rate. Interesting. Let's see. Graphic 1 test hit 250.50 FPS. Graphics 2, it says it hit 351.00 FPS. But the graphical score here shows it hit 563.41 total FPS. So $561.50. Yeah. Yep. I think that's very interesting. and that's at DX12, if I'm reading this right. We're going to double check. We're going to make sure that it was DX12. DPI scaling was at 1080p, 1920 by 1080p. This is at 1080p. The DPI was at 125%, and display 2 was at 100%. So, and this is DirectX 12. So, there you go. There you go. And we can do compared. We'll compare the result online. And let's see who comes up with that. This score, better than 64% of all results. So that seems to be a pretty good roll around that. So you all can see it. I've seen it. It doesn't lie. So it does not lie. And like I told you all before, look at this right here. This is where it says that the motherboard is by Asus, and it's the Prime B450M/AII motherboard. Yes, it's a B450 motherboard, a Prime B450. So if you're wondering, that's what it was. It's an AM4, if y'all are wondering that too. The memory modules right here, 8192 megabytes, Corsair DDR4 at 3590 megahertz. So it's actually 3600 megahertz. It's just down by 10%, 10 points. So 3600 still not bad. But this RAM is DDR4 at 3200 megahertz. Just to let y'all know that. Very good deal. Very good deal. 62 degrees, that is very low, especially for the stress test, and did very well on what I expected. So 35,836 result, and as you can see, it's the RX 6500 XT with an AMD Ryzen 5 5600G. There's the proof in the pudding, y'all. So, you know, if you're wondering, there it is. The proof is in the pudding right here. 3,836. Okay. Now that we've seen that, we ran one 3D Mark bench test. We're going to go ahead and exit out of 3D Mark and Steam. And that's another crazy thing. But now, what we're going to do is we're going to open up GPU-Z. We're going to open up GPU-Z. Bring it right here so y'all can see it. Bring it to the sensors, and this way y'all can see it. Now we're going to open up Heaven Benchmark. I am going to run it on the low. Same settings. I'm going to run it same exact settings as I did the iGPU. So when you watch these tests that I do with the 6500 XT, you can always go back to the video that I made for the integrated graphics for the 5600G, the Ryzen 5600G. So we're going to run this. And we're going to put a little sound to it and see if it hesitates. And as you all see, look at the GPU clock. It's not even peaking out yet. The memory clock does, but the GPU clock's not. So most of your power is coming from the memory clock, not the GPU clock. But now that I got the CPU temp and GPU temp to match, as you can see right here, well, actually that's the GPU and the hotspot temp. I got those to match. My bad, not CPU, GPU temps. I got them to somewhat match. Okay. But now look at my CPU temp. Is only 127. That's Fahrenheit. That's not Celsius. This is in Fahrenheit. So you can see that Heaven Benchmark is only pulling on the GPU chip power draw 12-13 watts. This program's only pulling 12-13 watts. Okay, now let's go ahead and quit this. Let's go ahead and quit this. And then what we're going to do is, you saw the results of, with it being set on low DirectX 11, which they don't have DirectX 12 yet, as you can see. Quality, we're going to set on high. Tessellation, we're going to set on extreme. The stereo 3D, we're going to leave alone. Multi-monitor, we're going to leave disabled. Anti-analyzing, we're going to leave disabled. Full screen, we're going to leave it off, and we're going to leave it right at the same one. So now let's change it a little bit and see what happens. Let's see if this makes a difference. And if you look at the top, it's still at 60 FPS. Let's benchmark it. Okay, before I turned anything on, this was sitting at a solid 60 FPS. Before I turned any of that on. And now it's still sitting at a solid 60 FPS. Close to it, 59, 60. The low's at 40.4. But notice how solid it is. look at the, it just looks so good. To me, it looks really good. I mean, the colors are coming out just fine. There's no artifacting. Shading is coming out just perfect. You can't beat this. Not for $200. You can't beat this GPU for $200. No way. No how. So, yes, this is going to be a long video. So, it's going to be about an hour video on benchmarking this card. Now, as you all can see, it's halfway through the scenes. I'm doing a heaven benchmark test right now. So this way you all can see how well it's benchmarking. These are some actual numbers. This is the true numbers for this card. I've seen people benchmark with heaven, but not actually run the benchmark, if you know what I mean. You can't benchmark something unless you run the benchmark to prove something. So, this is how you prove it. Sure, I probably can get the FPS up higher if I push the card even harder. But I want to just push this on normal auto boosting features that the card has. Just like if you bought a system, then the only boost, if you bought an all-in-one system and you plug this card in, this is basically what you're going to be getting. I want to give you that idea and impression. This gives you an idea of what the gameplay is going to look like. The temperatures, how much memory it uses, as far as VRAM and CPU wise, and the voltages and the wattages. With this card, will easily run with the 750 watt power supply. Easily. All what I got here, I got it connected on an 850 watt power supply. 850 watts runs this thing like butter. You can't beat it. And it doesn't spread thin, it always goes out thick. So, but there's one caveat to this motherboard. One little caveat I'm going to tell you all. The B450 motherboard will not hit PCIe 4.0. If you use the iGPU, you can get 4.0 speeds. If you use the integrated graphics, you can get 4.0 speeds. But if you use a discrete graphics card, it pushes it to 3.0 speeds. That's what you get, is 3.0. So that's what you're seeing here when I'm running these benchmarks. This is at PCIe 3.0, not 4.0. So this gives you a better idea of how 3.0 is going to run if you got a 3.0 system. But could you imagine how much better it's going to run if you use it for 4.0? That's something you need to explore. Because I would have to change the motherboard to a B550. See, right here, DX11. And it shows high quality and extreme tessellation. So, and it shows solid 59, 60, 61 FPS. Okay, so the FPS stays solid with Heaven Benchmark. With Heaven Benchmark. Okay. Now, I'm going to do something a little bit different. Since I got, GPU Z opened up, I'm going to do something a little bit different. And I showed you superposition benchmarking. I'm going to do Cinebench benchmarking. This is the R20, and we're going to go ahead and run it, and we're going to put that on the screen. And as you can see, the GPU doesn't really do that much, does very minimal. The CPU's at 154 degrees, 155. It'll hit up around 160, but it will never go over 170. Just let y'all know that. The GPU is only pulling 6 watts. CPU is not pulling that much either. CPU is only pulling 60 watts. So that gives you a good idea that, between the GPU will pull up to 90 watts and the CPU pulls 60 watts. So, say 150, 160 watts total. And, you got about maybe 200, 225 watts of motherboard power that's being pulled. So there's nowhere near it's pulling anywhere near 500 to 600 watts. Just to let you know. Not a bad score for a 5600G and the Radeon RX 6500 XT. So that's not a bad score. 3,347, as y'all can see. So we did a hell of a lot of benchmarking today. So let's go ahead and close up GPU Z. Let's go ahead and pull y'all back to my other screen. And let's go ahead and twist you all around back onto the screen. So now you're back onto the main screen. And now back to me. My final thoughts. I'm going to give you my final thoughts on this. Okay, let's get to the brass tacks of this. One, we started off to do the adrenaline stress test that's on their software. I pulled it up, running it with OBS and that at the same time. Seemed to make it, the OBS program, stutter and, lag and everything else. That's understandable because it's pulling the max stress test. The max that it is allowed to pull on the settings that I set up on AMD Adrenalin. It only pulled the max I set it up for. So it didn't go any further than what the max was. Just telling you all this so that way you can set the max features either manually or you can set it automatically, an automatic overclock. So usually when you got your typical, you know, consumer that that has no idea how to boost up the, just to say, don't know how to boost up your graphics card, your discrete graphics card, and they see the overclock button, the instant overclock button, boom, they're going to hit that button first. Just like I did, I hit that button first. So all this testing is done like the actual consumer would do if they bought the graphics card. That they have no idea how to boost it up except for what they see on YouTube. You know, I give you guys much credit, you know, because you go through a lot of, you know, hard times and everything else to learn how to make your PC run faster and more efficient. My processor is everything set on auto. Everything is set on auto. And even the graphics card is set on auto overclock. That's the only thing that's overclocked. It's set on auto overclock is the GPU itself. Not the computer. The computer is just set to its automatic, goes up to its automatic max, like the graphics card. So they both work the same way. There's nothing special about it. Something any consumer could do and just run it as is, with no other benchmarking programs or tweaking programs. Nothing in the mix. Nothing in the mix. Read my lips. I turned off MSI Afterburner. I turned off all the overclocking features I would have on my computer and just made it basic as I could, running from baseline and doing baseline overclocking. So basically the computer did all the overclocking. I did nothing. I controlled nothing. The computer did it all. When it went up to its max, and that's the max. When it went to its low, it went to its low. So I didn't put any extra tweaks in there to get the megahertz up even higher. I just let the computer do its thing. So when I ran it through the superposition, you know, the benchmarking there, and when it was hitting 65 FPS and about 45 FPS on the low, that was all computer. That had nothing to do with any manual overclocking whatsoever. It's all computer. All computer. Nothing else. See, there's a difference of getting true boost marks compared to getting fake results. When the computer does it itself and gets you that true mark, then you can say it's been benchmarked. But if you got to take and overclock it to an extreme to push it past its limits, then you're just getting fake FPS. And read my lips, fake FPS. This FPS that I'm getting is nothing but 100% true FPS. Nothing faked, nothing, changed. It's all true to the bone. And, when I did the benchmarking for, what do you call it? I keep forgetting that name, and you know, it's just for some reason I keep forgetting that name. But you all know what I mean. Let me go back and see. I have a memory issue as well, so it's not CS:GO. It's probably not here where I can find it. But I just did the benchmark. I just did the benchmark on it. So, you know, I'm going to see if I got the name of it. And y'all can grill me in the comments below if you want. You know, if you feel that I should have remembered the name of it, you can grill me in the comments. I've tried so hard to remember, you know, the names of things. You know, I really did. I mean, this right here, 3D Mark, sorry. I got the name of it. Okay. So, this was the first benchmark I did on this computer with this iGPU. This is the first benchmark I did. And this is the numbers I got. And if you roll back through the video and see there's not much different, there's not much difference from this being maxed over the top, pushed to its limit right here, and this is what I got. Now if you roll back through the video and see the results that I showed you for 3D Mark, then you oh, wait a minute, you can't see that. Oh my goodness, I apologize to everybody. I'm sitting here talking in second term wire. You all can't even see what I'm doing. Oh my goodness. Here, my bad. Let me go ahead. Okay, let's start again. You can grill me in the comments. I know you're all going to grill me on this. But this is the first one. This is the first test. And like I told you all my videos are uncut. Maybe one or two are cut because I had to, because I had too many bloopers and blemishes and it just couldn't work. You know, they were really messy videos, so I had to chop two in half and stuff like that. But I only got 2 videos like that, but the rest of them are all uncut. You see what you see. I'm not cutting them any which way. You know, I might add a little commentary inside the commentary of the videos, but you get what you get. I try to keep them as original as possible so you all see everything in real time. Real time. That means like you're sitting here watching me do it. You know, sitting right next to me watching me do it the whole time. So, I just want to keep it as real as possible so you can see everything in real time. Okay, I know not a lot of people, you know, they do these special video editings and stuff like that, but let's get back to what we were talking about right here. I don't want to get off track. This right here is the first benchmark. I've already told you guys that a couple times, you know, so, but if you watch and roll it back, you'll see the whole thing. I'm not going to get too deep into this, but just to let you know, I have benchmarked this before to make sure that the drivers were correct. Now, I think when I ran this test, the drivers were correct, but then I ran into some other issues. I had to make sure I completely removed all the drivers before I reinstalled and did a fresh install update. Because I had a couple things go bad. But now everything's fresh. This is all real. So y'all are getting some real good numbers. As far as other gaming and stuff, you know, the tests that I use, those are going to reflect games. So basically, you know, when you play certain games, you know, you're going to get an average of 60 FPS all the way up to maybe the way that was saying was 4 or 500 FPS. Okay. That's about as much as you're going to get out of this GPU. This graphics card is only going to give you between 60 and 500 FPS. That's it. You're not going to get any more or any less. And if you get over 500, then you're really tweaking it like crazy. So if you're tweaking it like crazy, then, you know, it is what it is. But I'm not going to make this video any longer because it's over an hour, and I know this is going to be like an hour special. But if you really like my videos, make sure you subscribe. We're working towards 1,000 subscribers. And make sure you watch the videos to the beginning, from the beginning to the end. This way we can get up to 4,000 watch hours. We want to try to monetize the channel. So this way we can start getting, you know, more PC parts for the channel. It is, you know, it is costly. So I have to offset the cost a little bit, you know, by figuring out how to bring in some, you know, some finances to help, you know, support the channel. This is down the road in the future. I'm probably going to put a, you know, like a, you know, get some store items to where y'all can purchase some store items and stuff like that. You know, be patient with me because I am working through, you know, medical problems and everything else, but it doesn't interfere with my judgment and what I'm doing here. Just to let y'all know that I am working through a lot of things. But the thing I'm working through is to tell you all to make sure you subscribe. If you come here to watch the video, you might as well subscribe. It doesn't cost you anything, and I'm not charging you anything. You know, I'm not saying, hey, you know, this, in order for you to watch my video, you have to pay me. No, I'm not saying that. I'm saying just subscribe and help out the channel. You know, watch my videos from the beginning to the end. Help out the channel. This helps supports the channel. And it is much appreciated when y'all help and support the channel. But we're going to jump out of here. Want to say once again, Merry Christmas to you all and Happy Holiday from me to you right here on JJ's PC Builds. And family, make sure you and friends of YouTube, make sure you do yourself a big favor. Do not drink and drive. I'm going to be honest with you. Do not drink and drive. It is not worth it. It's not worth going to jail. It's not worth taking somebody's life because of you drinking and driving. If you're going to drink, get a designated driver that's not drinking. That's the best way to do it, to have a safe holiday. So, just to let you know, this is a little bit of a pause to the cause. You know, I'm going to put this out there to keep everybody safe. Do not drink and drive. Or don't smoke anything and drive. You know, any of that funny wacky weed and stuff like that. Don't do that and drive, because that, or don't take any pills or anything like that. Stay sober when you drive. Keep the next person safe and keep you from killing anybody around you or killing yourself. So let's keep you alive. That's what keeps JJ's PC Build channel alive. Works out for the best. But anyway, you all have a fine day, and make sure you stick around for the next time and the next video. This is JJ, your boy. We will see you on the next one.